I first noticed him because nobody else did. People streamed past the convenience store, faces glued to their phones, bags rustling, car doors slamming, but he was just there. A lump of human silence against a stained brick wall. His cardboard sign, creased and damp at the edges, read, "Anything helps." God bless. The words were so generic they almost felt fake, like a prop someone would print for a movie. Maybe that's what planted the idea in my head. My channel had been dying for months. I used to make tech reviews and harmless pranks, nothing crazy. But the algorithm got hungrier, the trends got darker, and my views got smaller. I watched other creators shoot up in subscribers with social experiment videos, filming strangers, crying in thumbnails, big bold text like, "I gave $10,000 to a homeless man," slapped over their faces. People ate it up, wholesome, restored my faith in humanity. Sponsors loved it, so when I saw him, hunched under the flickering store sign, something ugly but familiar whispered in my ear, "This is it. This is your comeback." I told myself a story to make it easier to swallow. I'd be helping him. Exposure, money, maybe even a job from some generous viewer. I could change his life and revive my channel. Win-win, right? I grabbed my camera from the car, flipped out the screen, checked my hair, my angles. The bark of traffic, the hum of the city, it all melted behind the rush of adrenaline that always hit right before I pressed record. I walked toward him with my kind face on. My voice softened, my posture loosened. Everything about me shifted into performance mode. "Hey, man," I said, keeping my tone gentle, concerned. "I'm a YouTuber. Would you mind if I interviewed you? Your story could really help people understand what you're going through." He squinted up at me, eyes bloodshot but surprisingly clear. They flicked from my face to the camera and back, like he could see straight through both. There was a pause long enough to make me uncomfortable. Then he shrugged, a tired lift of shoulders buried in a worn-out jacket. "Sure, I guess, if it helps somebody." I sat down on the cold pavement near him, partly to look more authentic, on camera, partly to make him trust me. I hit record. The little red light glowed. I asked him the questions viewers loved. "How long have you been out here? What happened? Do you have family?" Each answer spilled out slow and hoarse, full of years I couldn't imagine. But I wasn't really hearing him, I was hunting for moments. A tremble in his voice. A tear. A long, broken silence. Anything that would turn him into a story, instead of a man. After the first interview, I did what every good creator does. I made sure to film myself being generous. I walked back into the convenience store with the camera still rolling, talking to it like it was a friend. "So guys, I just met this incredible man outside," I said, making sure my voice shook just a little at the word, incredible. "We're gonna grab him something to eat and maybe change his day." I grabbed a burger, fries, and a large soda, holding the bag up to the lens like a trophy. When I handed him the food, I framed the shot carefully, my hand entering from the side of the screen, his surprised face, the logo of the store just visible in the background. "Here you go, man," I said, softer than I usually talk. "You matter, okay, don't give up on yourself." It sounded beautiful, for them. For the comments. For the strangers who would watch this later and feel virtuous by proxy. He took the bag with both hands, like it was fragile. "Thank you," he murmured, eyes shining a little. "No one's really stopped to talk to me in a while." His gratitude landed on me like a weight I wasn't prepared for. For a split second, I forgot about the camera, forgot about the shot, and just saw him, a tired man whose hands trembled slightly, whose skin was cracked from cold and sun, whose whole world fit into the torn backpack at his feet. "What's your name?" I asked, almost as an afterthought, like I'd remembered a line I'd skipped in the script. "David," he replied. "Thanks for treating me like a person." The words lodged somewhere deep, but I shoved them down quickly, patching it over with a smile. "Of course, David," I said, though I was already thinking of titles, thumbnails, retention graphs. I filmed a few more shots. Him taking a bite, as talking vaguely about hope and second chances, me clapping his shoulder in a brotherly way. That night, I became a surgeon of emotion in my editing software. I cut out awkward pauses, trimmed my stumbles, left in every moment where he looked the most broken. I layered soft piano music underneath his rough voice, added captions for the deep lines. I never thought I'd end up like this. "I just want another chance." I slowed down the frame where a tear slipped from the corner of his eye, zoomed in gently. Thumbnail material. I titled the video, "I changed a homeless man's life, shocking," and slapped my face on the thumbnail, eyes wide, hand over my mouth, beside David's, mid-tear. It felt gross even as I exported it, but the desperation in me was louder than the guilt. I hit upload. The response was immediate. Views skyrocketed. Comments poured in like a flood. "You're a blessing. Faith in humanity restored. You're the only YouTuber who still cares." Brands started emailing again. My phone buzzed nonstop with notifications, little digital fireworks exploding on the screen. Buried between the praise, one comment slid past my eyes and hooked itself into my brain. "Did you actually help him after the video? Or just feed him for content?" I scrolled past it, then scrolled back up. That question sat there, quiet but heavy. I had given him a burger. $40 in cash, 15 minutes of my time. And in return, I'd built an empire of validation on his misery. That night, while I watched the view counter climb, I told myself he was probably fine. Tomorrow, I decided, I'd go back. Maybe film a follow-up, maybe give him more, maybe make another viral hit. But when I went back the next day, David's corner was empty. His cardboard sign was gone. The spot where he usually sat looked colder without him. A strange unease crawled up my spine as I walked inside and asked the cashier, "Hey, the homeless guy who's usually out front. You know what happened to him?" She didn't even look up from her phone. "The older guy with the beard?" she asked. "Ambulance came last night. He collapsed right there on the sidewalk." My heart slammed against my ribs. While I'd been obsessing over my analytics, David had been lying on concrete, body giving out. The hospital didn't feel real. Everything was too bright, too sterile, too far from the cracked concrete where I'd last seen him. I almost turned around twice in the parking lot, my courage thinning with every step. What was I going to say? "Hey man, remember me, the guy who turned your pain into trending content?" But guilt shoved me forward, heavier than my camera ever had. I found him in a small room at the end of the hall. No camera, no script, just me and the sound of a heart monitor. David looked smaller in the hospital bed, swallowed by white sheets and wires. His beard was still wild, but his face seemed calmer, like the constant strain of survival had loosened its grip for a moment. His eyes fluttered open when he heard the door. "You," he rasped, squinting. A faint smile tugged at the corner of his mouth. "The camera guy." The words sliced straight through me. That was what I was to him, a guy with a camera. Not a friend, not someone who stayed. Just a visitor with a lens. "Yeah," I said softly, stepping closer. "It's me. I wanted to check on you. See how you're doing." He studied my face like he was trying to read something written there. Then, to my surprise, he chuckled weakly. "Been better," he said. "Doc says I pushed it too far. Not enough food, not enough sleep." Body finally said, "Nope." He lifted one hand, the IV tape tugging at his skin. "Guess it took collapsing to get a warm bed." Shame burned in my throat. I pulled a chair closer and sat down. I'd come here ready to confess, to apologize, to say everything in one dramatic speech, but the words tangled. Before I could untangle them, he spoke again. "My daughter saw your video," he said quietly. My stomach dropped. "Your daughter?" He nodded slowly. "Didn't think anyone I used to know would ever see me like that." His eyes turned glassy, but not from pain. "We haven't talked in years. I left when she was little. I was drunk more than I was sober. Lost my job, lost the house, lost them. I figured staying away was the only decent thing I could do." He swallowed, voice catching. "But she found your video. Recognized me, even under all this." He gestured vaguely at his beard, his worn face. "She went to the comments, asked if anyone knew how to find me. One of your subscribers actually came by here yesterday and told me she was looking." Then, he smiled again, a small, stunned thing. "She called. For the first time in 10 years. I leaned forward, heart pounding. "What did she say?" He stared at the ceiling like he was replaying it. "She cried," he murmured. "Said, 'Dad, I thought you were dead.' I didn't know what to say. I just kept apologizing, over and over. She said she wasn't ready to see me yet, but she wanted me to get better. Said, 'Come home when you're ready to try.'" His voice broke on the last word. I should have felt proud. This was the dream narrative. Broken man reunited with family thanks to my video. A perfect update for the channel. But it didn't feel clean or heroic. It felt crooked, messy, wrong. Because the truth was, I hadn't done any of it for him. I'd done it for me. David, I said, my voice barely steady, I need to tell you something. When I filmed you, I wasn't thinking about you the way I should have. I was thinking about views. Money. My channel. I edited your life into content. The word tasted rotten. I'm so sorry. He turned his head to look at me again. Really look. There was no anger in his eyes. Just a tired kind of understanding. You're not the first person to use me, he said. World's been walking past me for years. At least you stopped. He paused, then added, and look what happened anyway. My kid found me. Sometimes good things grow out of messed up soil. That broke something open in me. The excuses, the justifications, all of it crumbled. I went home that night and set up my camera, but this time it felt heavier than ever. I didn't fix the lighting. I didn't rehearse. I just hit record and stared into the lens like it was a judge and jury. I'm not who you think I am, I began. I told them everything, how I'd hunted for tears, framed his suffering, monetized it. I told them about the burger, the $40, the hospital. I told them about his daughter's call. You all called me a hero, I said, voice shaking. But I wasn't. I used him, and I don't want to be that person anymore. Then, on camera, I demonetized the original video and every other, feel-good, clip I'd ever made using strangers. I promised every cent that video had earned, and would ever earn, would go to David and his daughter. I showed the receipts, the transfers, the emails. Not to prove I was good, but to prove I was finally doing something for him, not for me. The fallout was messy. Some people unsubscribed. Some called it damage control. Others said they respected the honesty. But for once, I didn't care what they thought. The truth behind David's story hadn't just destroyed me, it had stripped away the version of myself I'd built for the internet. What was left wasn't polished or brandable. Just a guy who finally understood that every face in a thumbnail is a whole world, and you don't get to treat someone's life like a storyline you can pause, edit, and export. A week later, I got a photo in my email. It was from David's daughter. In it, David stood beside her and a little boy with his eyes, all three of them smiling awkward, unsure smiles. Thank you, her message read. Not for the video, for giving me a way to find him. I stared at that picture for a long time, then closed my laptop. For once, I didn't think about posting it. Some stories, I finally realized, aren't meant for the channel. They're meant to change the person holding the camera.